Hey guys, it's Cheap Ass Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for some crazy Karen stories. Our next story comes from Seaworthy Zebra 5124. Worst Karen I've ever seen caused a massive blow up of the ages because I wouldn't give her son a black belt on his first day at karate. Background: I teach Kempo karate as a 2nd degree black belt. I also have an assistant, Kira, a 1st degree black belt in her own right. I don't own the gym, my instructor does, but since he's gotten older, me and Kira handle the younger classes while he handles the business side of things, plus the adult class. We have 3 classes: kids age 5 to 10, intermediate class ages 11 to 15, and adult class age 16 and up. Main story. So the kids' classes just ended when a woman walks in with her son. She says her 13-year-old wants to take karate lessons, so I shake hands with her and have her sit down with my instructor to fill out the waivers and get his GI measurements. Other students file in for the intermediate class, and me and Kira get down to business. I take the bulk of the class, around 15 kids, while Kira goes with a new student one-on-one to teach him the basic strikes and stances. Not 5 minutes later, I hear Kira upset and telling the new boy to do 10 push-ups. Why? He called Kira, who is essentially a volunteer, an effing bitch. Karen, the mother, stands up and says her son can't do push-ups as she doesn't want her son to be sore. Kira lets him do the push-ups on his knees, but not 5 minutes later, she makes him do 20 more, since he's now called her a slut. For reference, Kira is in her early 20s and the boy's 13, not to mention other parents and kids here as well. It's wholly inappropriate. So I walk over and ask Kira to switch with me. As she does, she gives me the bug eyes and mouths, "What the frick?" So I walk over and ask the boy why he insulted my assistant, Kira. He said he doesn't like girls, and when I asked him what he meant, he says he only listens to his dad and other boys. He won't listen to me at all, he needs some discipline, the mother confirms to me, chuckling, as if raising a monster is something to laugh about. "When do I get a black belt like you have?" the boy asks me. Mind you, he's been punching the air the entire time. This boy is the aggressively hyper type. Well, it takes a while. I've been training since I was 5, and I earned my black belt at 21, so it took me a while, I said. "Nah, I don't want to wait that long. I want mine now," he says, his chubby face now red and sweaty from the shadow boxing. His mother motions to me and whispers in my ear, "Do you think you could give him one, just to make him happy?" "No, sorry, he has to earn one. We aren't a belt factory." "Well, he never gets told no." "I'm sorry, that's not how we do things here." "I have money, I can pay you extra." "No, sorry, we only give belts when they're earned." After several minutes of arguing and conversation that leads nowhere, Karen snaps at me. "I paid you to give my son a black belt." She stands up and points a finger in my face. It was so sudden that I reflectively took a step back. "Hey, chill out, lady," some of the other parents chimed in. Before I can reply to Karen, I hear a loud commotion behind me. I hear more parents and students shouting. I turn and see new boy smacking and hitting a girl in the class. Kira is shouting, "Hey, stop!" However, this girl that the new boy is hitting is a purple belt and a little badass of her own. She loads up a front kick and hits the brat boy center mass, right in his flappy stomach. He shouts and doubles over, crying tears of pain. I was so friggin' proud of her. "Hey, that little bitch hurt my son!" Karen runs past me onto the mat and gets in the face of the 14-year-old girl her son just attacked. This girl is already scared and starts to cry, but Karen ups the ante and shoves this girl in the chest with her hand. Kira gets between them and is red-faced and enraged. I immediately rush over and try to defuse the situation, but neither of them are having it. Parents immediately stand up and start shouting, "Keep your hands off my daughter!" The girl's father, who is with the other parents, yells at Karen. He starts approaching aggressively, but backs off when he realizes me and Kira, both black belts, are by her. Now you should know something about Kira. She's under 5 foot, less than 110 pounds soaking wet, but she can still kick my ass up and down the mat on any given day. She's fast, accurate, and insanely flexible. She can control her body and perform techniques that I just simply can't. So Kira and Karen get into a shouting match with each other. I tell Karen to leave with your kid and don't come back. Don't ever lay a hand on any of my students. Do you understand? I raised my voice and was genuinely pissed off. F you, my son needs a black belt and you won't give him one, she screams at me. Your son is crazy. He attacked our students, Kira interjected. But this set Karen off. She reached and tried to bitch slap Kira in the face. Big mistake. Having had enough, Kira parries the smack and fires an absolutely vicious leg kick right into the meat of Karen's inner thigh with nothing held back. The slap sound of Kira's shin bone decimating Karen's thigh echoed off the ceiling like a slab of meat getting thrown to the floor. It was glorious. Karen gasped as she fell onto the mat in a heap. Oh my God! She held her leg as her brat boy got up and rushed at Kira. I got in front of her and grabbed the boy's wildly swinging arms. He hit me a few times, but I refused to hit children whatsoever. I let him tire himself out. One of the parents called the police, and after interviewing everyone involved, they determined that Kira and myself acted in self-defense. Neither of us wanted to pursue assault charges against Karen, but the parents of the girl Karen shoved rightly felt differently about it, so Karen was hauled away in handcuffs. Karen said she'd sue me and Kira in civil court, but since we both have legal waivers, here's hoping nothing comes of that. As for the boy, I honestly feel bad. His childhood has been robbed by piss-poor parenting, and I wish we could have had more time to straighten him out. I have particular dislike for his views on women, and I feel like I really could have helped turn him around. Maybe, maybe not. So yeah, that was my experience tonight. I hope you all enjoyed reading it more than I did going through it. Well, at least as Karen is taking her monster kid to karate lessons, he's gonna need it when he's an adult and in jail. Our next story comes from Country Fence. Entitled lady tries to force me to leave a public lake. I force her to leave instead. This was a few years ago. I used to work as a detective for a local police department, retired now, and this occurred when I was still employed there. In my life, I've always made every attempt to stay on the right side of the law, as I consider hypocrisy one of the worst traits for an officer of the law to have. I owned a nice ski boat, and in my spare time I enjoyed taking my family to the local public lake to use the boat and the tube, water ski and swim. My kids were aged 12 and 13 at the time, and they really got a kick out of this. They wanted to go nearly every day I had off, all summer. One day we were at the lake, and after a few hours my daughter mentioned she needed to use the bathroom. The lake also had a public swimming beach that had public restrooms, and we would often take our bathroom breaks there. We would pull up on shore well away from the marked swimming area, and we'd disembark to use the facilities. One day as we pulled up, I noticed a lady on a lounge chair, sunbathing on the shore near where we pull the boat up. I stayed about 50 feet from her, still about 250 feet from the swimming area, as I slowly maneuvered the boat towards the shore. As I got close, she stood up and glared at me, while my kids whispered that they knew her as the mean lunch lady from their previous elementary school. As I brought the boat up to shore, this woman started yelling very loudly that I was breaking the law. I smiled, and as friendly as I could, I said, "Really? What law?" She continued yelling, saying that I was driving a motorboat in a swimming area. I pointed to the marked swimming area, about 250 feet away, and I asked, "Do you mean that swimming area?" To which she replied, "Yes." I told her that I never entered or even got close to the swimming area, and that my boat was right now as close as I ever got. She said the law prohibits boats from pulling up on any shore. Lol, how do you get in or out of a boat? Swim? And now she was calling her son, the deputy, who was going to get me in trouble. At this point, I was starting to enjoy this a little, because I thought for sure her son, the deputy, would tell his mum that she couldn't stop me from pulling my boat up to shore. I stood nearby as she called someone, assuming her son. She reads the person on the phone my boat hull number. It's like a license plate for boats. She then says, with a smirk on her face, "My son is going to order you from the lake, right now." And what happened next shocked me. This woman calls me by my full name, and then hands me the phone. Now, I should say this, what just happened is a clear, very clear, violation of the law. In my state, it's known as a lien violation, and police officers/deputies are very often charged with this crime. I read about it several times a year. If an officer uses his police computer to divulge personal information, Say, a deputy tells his mum the name of the registered owner of a boat that she's having a disagreement with. For example, it's a crime. No ifs, ands or buts. Every cop knows this. So I take the phone and I immediately say, "Who is this?" I hear, "This is Deputy so-and-so of the X-County Sheriff's Office," and I immediately interrupt him and say, "Deputy, do you know what a lien violation is?" Several seconds of silence. I say, "Deputy so-and-so, are you still there?" He says yes. So I say again, "Deputy so-and-so, let me ask you again. Do you know what a lien violation is?" He stammers out a reply about boat hull numbers and public records or something. I said, "Nope, that's not what a lien violation is. And since you don't know, do I need to remind your supervisor what a lien violation is?" Again, silence. I then said, "Tell you what, I'm going to hand this phone back to your mother. Then you're going to tell your mother to leave this beach right now. Then we can all forget this ever happened. Understood?" Long silence. "Understood?" He does a long exhale and says, "Yeah, okay." I hand the phone back to his mother and she whispers into the phone for a few seconds, then angrily snaps her phone shut. Without making eye contact, she packs up her stuff and is gone. I thought about reporting him anyway, but technically I was the victim. Yet I wasn't feeling victimized at all, so I let it go. I only saw this lady at the beach one more time since then, and as she saw me, she immediately packed up her stuff and left. I doubt that's how this Karen was expecting that to go. She probably saw your shock and thought she'd put the fear of God in you. Nice Uno reverse card play, OP. Our next story comes from Ivy Fire. Entitled Mum doesn't believe in consequences for her child. I work in childcare. There's currently a mum that's one of those. She doesn't have a job, but somehow requires multiple 24/7 nannies. Anyway, her son, C, is 3, and he pushes and hits other children for no reason. He usually goes after the most innocent kids that aren't doing anything. He tries to hurt and upset them. Entitled Mum says that she's a gentle parent and doesn't believe in consequences and boundaries and timeouts. Entitled Mother has a baby at home, a girl about 6 months. Apparently C's been hitting her and throwing stuff at her. The nanny told C to stop and put him in a timeout. Entitled Mother is upset because she doesn't believe in timeouts. I can't believe this lady. Your child will never learn boundaries if you never teach those boundaries. He's going to keep hitting and hurting other children because, as my coworker says, not every gentle parent has a gentle child. I'm not surprised she's fine with her little monster hitting other children, but her 6-month-old daughter? Really? She's okay with her baby being hit? I'll never understand that logic. I feel bad for these kids. Her daughter isn't safe, and her son is set up to fail. Growing up thinking he can hit others without consequences, he's gonna have a rough life. Well, if you're sure that's how to do it. I have a favourite memory from when I was about 6 years old, when I had the pleasure of witnessing a rare double whammy of a classic mansplain followed by malicious compliance so simple and well executed it was practically a work of art. I was sitting down to dinner with my brother, my mother and my dad when I asked my brother to pass the salad dressing. He attempted to comply, but the handoff was intercepted by our father, who loudly proclaimed to the rest of us, "Wait, you always pour out way too much salad dressing, and then you waste it. Let me show you how it's done." While he informed me on my inadequate salad dressing application technique, he also proceeded to unscrew the cap of the dressing, presumably in preparation for his impromptu lesson on proper salad dressing etiquette. However, he was so focused on making sure that I knew I was in the wrong, that he failed to notice that the lid was of the snap open and close variety utilised by most squeeze bottles. So he wasn't just opening the bottle to get ready for the pour, he was also removing the lid and the squeeze bottle insert, so when he upended the bottle to show me how to do it, almost the entire contents of the nearly full container poured out over his meal in one huge and hilarious blob. Now you may be wondering how the other members of the family reacted to such a hugely hilarious blunder. Well, dear reader, this is where the malicious compliance comes in. While the rest of us stared in shock and horror at the river of Italian dressing running down my father's salad off his plate to form a pool on the linen tablecloth, my brother took action in the most hilarious way possible. He grabbed a second bowl of salad dressing from the table and began removing the lid and squeezing the insert together at the same time. Then he turned to our father with a smile on his face and said, "I think I get it, Dad. Is this how you showed us to do it?" At which point he upended and spilled the second full bowl of salad dressing in as many minutes, and we all watched as the dressing ran off his plate to join together with the remains from our fathers. FastV517 says, "The walk of shame for him when he went to get something to clean up the mess." Handicapped spaces are about accessibility, not convenience. Many years ago, my daughter had been fussing all day long. My wife was ready to pull her own hair out, so I took my daughter with me to the store. She was very young and pretty with the cutest little purple wheelchair. We get to the store, unload her wheelchair from the car, she climbs down into the chair, and off we go. After the shopping's done, we're back at the car, reversing the process to load her up and stow the chair. As I'm loading up the chair, a dude pulls up next to me in a brand new car, still with the paper tags on it. I casually mention that he's pulled into a row of handicapped spaces without a handicap tag or placard. He says, "Yeah, I know," and saunters off to the shop with his significant other. Well, I'm a little pissed at this moment, but I don't want to do any damage to such a beautiful car. Then an evil thought enters my brain. I go to the cart storage just in front of where we're parked. I put carts in a loose formation around his car. A security guard comes out, but just watches. An off-duty city cop also comes out, and also just watches. I proceed to put several layers of carts tightly packed together, 360 degrees around his car. I approach the guard, and the city cop too, and explain that the dude was using a handicapped space for convenience, not due to an accessibility problem. I pointed out that none of the carts are touching his car, so no damage, but he sure has one hell of an accessibility problem now. They're both cracked up laughing at this point. The cop says he hopes the guy complains, because then he'll write a ticket for the dude. Edit, to answer the common question as to why the cop couldn't just write the ticket straight away. He couldn't in Texas at the time. On private property, they can't write tickets unless the property owner or manager calls, or the other person otherwise engages with the officer. He was hoping the guy would come and complain, then he could write him a ticket. Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.